to the Farmerdale Podcast. Welcome to the Farmerdale Podcast. Welcome to the Farmerdale Podcast.
Well, hey everybody, welcome to the Farmerdale Podcast, and today's episode is most definitely different, and it's just me. I have no guest, and we're going to cover two things today. We're going to cover God's Word. We're going to cover God's Word, and then in the second part of the show, we're going to get into what materials, what equipment, what things do you need for seed starting, and I'm going to kind of show you that. So if you're listening just in audio today, you may want to go over and check us out on YouTube, because that's where you're going to get to see all the stuff. But if you're just listening on audio, that's fine too. But YouTube might be your deal today, because you'll get to see all of that. So let's get to the show. Well, hey, it's Farmerdale and the Farmerdale Podcast. This is a little different than what I wanted to do. But hey, you can see out here behind my back right here. Beautiful picture, by the way. Wish I could just get up and get out of the way. But hey, we got snow on the ground. We're snowed in the house. Like many of you right now, you're snowed in the house. So it's a great day to listen to a podcast. And I think this one's going to be really prevalent to a lot of people, to our gardeners, our farmers, people who grow things, but also just to your daily, everyday life. We're going to dig a little deep into the Bible today, because I don't have a guest. Our special guest was not able to get here, and we don't have the ability to split the screen, interview somebody from another location. We do have that ability, but I didn't want to do that. So you get me, and that's all you get today on the podcast. So I will try to make it as interesting as possible, because we're talking about the Bible. We're going to dig a little deep into the Bible today. Today is Sunday. Many of you did not get to go to church. You may have read your scriptures today. You may have watched something online from a couple days ago or a couple months ago, whatever it may be. But you probably didn't get to go to church. So I thought, well, why don't we dig a little deep into the Bible and see what does the Bible say about gardening? I've read a lot of verses over my day. My time as a Christian and as a follower of Christ. But when I started gardening, it seemed like all these verses started creeping into my life about what God says about gardening. So, and livestock and fruits and trees and veggies and all that stuff. So, and how He used that to teach us a lot of things about life and how we should live our lives. So that we're gonna dig into that today. But before I get into that, you want to pay attention about halfway through this episode, because we have our first local advertisement, and you're not going to want to miss it. I'm so excited about it. So stay tuned for the midway through this podcast, because you want to see what the ad is today. So tell you what, I'm going to take a sip of tea. And we're going to get right on into it. So I got my computer today. You probably see some stickers on there. I love stickers. But a couple of them are from, one of them is called the Grow by Grow, or Row by Row, Grow the Garden Show. It's by Hall's Tools. We talked about Hall's Tools before, about where we get some of our seeds from, or most of our seeds, and been very successful with that. But that's their gardening show. So if you want to dig deep into what they do and how they teach, because they're all about gardening, man, some good stuff, and a couple other stickers. And then there's a sticker for our church, for Manor Community. That's what all those stickers are for, probably right there. So, all right, well, let's dig right into it. The Bible is very clear on a lot of different things, and some things it's not. But I think it's very clear on some things about gardening and how we should live our lives. Jesus taught us through parables. So we're going to talk about a parable today also. But as you garden, what is your purpose for gardening? You know, when I first started gardening, it was all about, could I grow something? And then my kids started watching us grow, and I think in my mind I thought, well, I could show them how to grow all this stuff, and they're going to end up growing stuff, and it's just going to be awesome, right? Because as a dad, you wanted to go, to share some special times with them, some moments with them, and I think I did that. Brooke talked about that when she was on here about the big pumpkins that we grew, and we grew some big pumpkins back in the day. But she remembers those types of things. She's tried to grow some stuff. My son grows some stuff, and hopefully he's going to be on here pretty soon on the podcast. But I think it's really important to grow things. I wished I would have talked to my grandfathers more and got more information from them about how to grow things. But as I go through this process, there's certain ways to do things, and there's certain things that people have tried that don't work, but everybody's trying to continue to improve things. But I think in the end of the day, the most important part is to trust God. Because in reality, He's really in control of how successful you really are. You can put forth all the work. You can have the best seeds, the best water, the best plants, the best soil. You can have all of that stuff. But if you're not relying upon God, I don't know if you're going to be very successful and find the enjoyment out of it that you really should find. Let me go back. I just hit the wrong button on my computer right there. But so let's dig right down to it, and let's start out in Genesis. I got my Bible here. If you've got yours, you can join and read with me. But in Genesis, right from the very, very beginning, it starts us off, and I love this. It's Genesis 1:8, I think. No, it's not 1:8. I've lost 1:11. My bad. Chapter 1, verses 11 and 12. It says this: "And God said, let the earth sprout vegetation, plants yielding seed, and fruit trees bearing fruit, in which is their seed, each according to its kind on earth. And it is so. The earth brought forth vegetation, plants yielding seed according to their own kinds, and trees bearing fruit, in which is their seed, and according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And then there was evening and there was morning, the third day." So right there, God said, let there be vegetation. Let there be seeds that we can replant and continue growing what we need to grow to eat, right? Most of that was vegetables to start out with, plants. And then He had fruit trees on there. So Garden of Eden, there's probably a lot of fruit trees. Don't know which one Adam and Eve ate of, but the Bible's not very clear on that. But we know that they ate of a fruit tree. So God gave us vegetation, and I think that's awesome. It's a matter of how do we continue that on. Now, many of us, and many of you listening to this podcast, don't grow your own food. I didn't grow my own food. I surely don't grow enough food to feed us on everything, right? And even though we sell at the market, I don't sell enough or grow enough to sell to everybody. There's multiple people out there growing. There's multiple people out there selling at farmers markets and growing really good stuff. But at the very beginning, a garden was made to feed your family. And that was the case for many years. So even my grandfathers, they grew a garden to feed their family and feed their friends probably. That was the purpose of that. Now we've gotten into grocery stores, and you can go get whatever you want to grow that's been brought in from many different places, which is awesome. You can get anything you want in a grocery store, but getting it local is really cool. Let's look up Genesis 2:8. Let's see what it says. 2:8. "And the Lord God planted a garden in Eden in the east, and there He put the man whom He had formed." He put a garden there. It was for Adam to take care of, for Eve to take care of, so that they could actually live off the food that they grew. So I don't think it's, and this is something, can we sustain this? Can we continue on with our gardens? I'm thinking that's pretty awesome that God gave us Adam to start the first garden. I don't know what he had in that garden. I don't know if he had lettuce and spinach and beets and corn and all that. So I don't have no idea. The Bible doesn't say. He just says there's vegetation and that there were fruit trees for sure. So let's jump over to John. Let's jump over to John, over in the New Testament. Our church right now is, we were challenged to read the Gospels. Here we go. I'm going to find it in just a second. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, I'm not going to. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right. Let's jump over to John 15, 1 and 2. We'll do that real fast. John 15, 1 and 2. I got these marked, but we're going to come back to John. Well, no, let's don't do that. Let's jump over to Matthew. I think that's what I want to do. We'll go to John. We'll go to John. I'm sorry, guys. I know this is, I got this planned out, but Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Here we go. Here we go. John 15, 1 and 2. And this is one of my favorite verses. Memorizing verses is really important. But I think this is a really cool verse. This in 15:1, it says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. I am the true vine, which is Jesus, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch, in verse 2, it says, every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away, and every branch that does not bear fruit, he prunes, that it may bear fruit. Pruning, that's really important in the world of vegetables. We prune our blackberries. They seem to produce really well when we prune them, but pruning back even a squash plant or a zucchini, getting rid of all the leaves that don't help in any process of that. So getting rid of all that, that's really important. So that's really cool. So how did we learn how to garden, and how did we learn how to grow things? I think it kind of came from the Bible. I really do. Let's jump back to let's jump back to, I don't know what I want to go to. Let's go to Jeremiah. We're going to jump back. We're going to go Jeremiah 29:5. 29:5. Build houses and live in them. Plant gardens and eat their produce. It said build houses and live in them. Plant gardens and eat their produce. I think it's very simple, very clear. He was like, hey, build you a house, get you a family, build you a garden, and feed your family. Now, not everybody can do that. Not everybody has the ability to grow their own garden, right? That's why we like to supply that for people. But we can't do that year-round where we live, because we don't have greenhouses and all that kind of stuff. And they didn't have greenhouses back then either. They lived in a pretty warm culture back there, or climate back there too. So they could grow for a long periods of time. Let's talk about Proverbs. Let's go to Isaiah 58:11. Let's do that. 58:11. 58:11 says, and the Lord will guide you continually and satisfy your desire in scorched places and make your bones strong. And you shall be like a watered garden, like a spring of water, whose waters do not fail. So when we talk about Jesus using parables, it's not a parable, but it's using water and watering the garden to be a spring of life for you to others, basically. Because his waters are not going to fail. You might fail, but his waters are not going to fail. The things that he does for you is not going to fail. So that's in Isaiah 58:11. Let's jump over to Proverbs. That's where I was going. Let's go over to Proverbs 28:19. And it says, boy, this is good. Whoever works his land will have plenty of bread, but he who follows worthless pursuits will have plenty of poverty. A faithful man will abound with blessings, but whoever hastens to be rich will not go unpunished. So back to that verse of 19. Whoever works his land will have plenty of bread, but he who follows worthless pursuits will have plenty of poverty. I've chased things before, and it didn't work out because it was my plan. It wasn't God's plan. I don't know whether it's God's plan for me to be a market farmer or anything like that. I don't know if it's His plan for me to have a podcast, but I do know that He has a plan for me, and if I don't rely upon that plan, then it's going to be worthless. But He said that He would have, if we work it, we'll have plenty of bread. So I think you can apply that to your life. You can apply that to your garden. You can apply it to your job. You can apply it to your family. If you work it, He's going to take care of you. There's no doubt about that. And then jump over to another Jeremiah, but I don't know what Jeremiah that was. So we're going to skip that one. Let's go right into a parable. Jesus talked by parables a lot. And starting in chapter 13, and I told you our church is reading through the Gospels, and today's January the 25th, so we were in Matthew 25 today, but I want to jump back to Matthew 13, and it's the parable of the sower. And I'm going to read this for us real quick. That same day, Jesus went out of the house and sat beside the sea, and great crowds gathered about him, so that he got into a boat and sat down, and the whole crowd stood on the beach. And he told them many things in parables, saying, a sower went out to sow, and as he sowed, some seeds fell along the path. So before he even got to sowing, he probably had some holes in his pocket, and they were falling out, or out of the bag, or whatever he had those seeds in. As he sowed, some seeds fell out of the path, and on the birds came and devoured them. Those birds love the seeds. Other seeds, you got to watch out with your garden too, because they'll come out there and they'll snatch those seeds right out. You'll plant them, and they'll come out there and snatch them right out of the ground. Other seeds fell on rocky ground where they did not have much soil, and immediately they sprang up, since they had no depth of soil. But when the sun rose, they were scorched. Didn't plant them deep enough. And since they had no root, they withered away. Other seeds fell among the thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked them. Other seeds fell on the good soil and produced grain, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. He who has ears, let him hear. So there's a lot in that right there about gardening. I mean, a lot, and we're going to cover that in the second section of today's podcast, on all the things you need to do and you don't need to do, and the things that could go wrong, all those types of things. But a lot of that's right there. You know, he just was dropping seeds, and it tells you about all the seeds. But then he jumps over in verse 18, and it says, the parable of the sower explained. It says, hear then the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what has been sown in his heart. This is what has sown along the path. As for what was sown on rocky ground, this is the one who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet he has no root in himself, but endures for a while, and then tribulation and persecution arises on account of the word. Immediately he falls away. As for what was sown among thorns, this is the one who hears the word, but the cares of the world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and it proves unfruitful. As for what was sown on good soil, this is the one who hears the word and understands it. He indeed bears fruit and yields, in one case 100-fold, in another 60, and in another 30. So where you plant yourself is really important. Where you plant your seeds in your garden and what type of soil you plant it in is so important. And how many weeds and thorns you have in your garden and in your life is so important. So gardening and what the Bible says about it, I think is so applicable to your life and my life. And you don't understand that. And if you've never gotten your fingers dirty, if you never got your hands dirty, if you've never dug down into the deep soil, if you've never picked fruit from a tree or blackberries or raspberries or whatever it may be, and know the work that goes into that, the same work you got to put into your life. I cannot just garden and not know anything. That's why Row by Row, I learned a lot from them. I learned a lot from other people on YouTube. They didn't talk about God. They didn't talk about how the Bible relates to your garden. And boy, it's strong words. So Jesus talked about the parable of the sower, but then the next parable was the parable of the weeds. Woo. And then it was the parable of the mustard seed. Some good stuff. So as you walk your life on a daily basis, I gave my life to Christ when I was in the 4th grade. I didn't know that I was going to end up doing a podcast. I did not know that I was going to be a market gardener. I didn't even know I was going to be a teacher and a coach, right? God has led me down so many different paths that I did not know I was going to go down. And me understanding what the Word says and me applying that to my life is so, so important. So important. It's important to you. So I hope today's gardening lesson is about what is your purpose in your garden? Is it to make money? Is it to grow things? Is it to feed your family? I've learned so much, and when I'm in the garden, I got my earbuds in, and I got my podcast going, or I got my music going, I got my contemporary Christian music going, whatever it may be. I got something that's trying to feed my life. If you don't feed your life, if you don't feed your soul, there's no purpose. So have a purpose. Have a purpose. Well, there you go. Well, I hope you're still with me. I hope that you listen to what I had to say, and I hope that it spoke to you on some level, whether that's in gardening or whether it's just in your life. I hope it spoke to you. So we're going to get into our second section, or second part of our show in just a second. But I want to get to this advertisement because it's so important, because that's how we're keeping our show going. Farmer Dale will be right back. Need a realtor who gets results? Call Dewey Dillard, serving Memphis and the surrounding area since 1992. That's right, since 1992. Dewey's clients consistently get top market value, and he's one of the nicest guys in town. I can tell you, he is super nice. I've been friends with him for a long time. Whether you're buying or selling in Bartlett, Lakeland, or Arlington, or beyond, Dewey Dillard with Groome and Company Realtors, you cannot go wrong. Dewey is a proud Memphian, born and raised, knows his entire area very well with 33 years of experience. How many of y'all done something for 33 years? He has built a loyal client base that continues to grow. With the constantly changing real estate market, it's important to work with someone with the experience to navigate you through the entire process of buying or selling your home. He will make the entire process as stress-free as possible. Give Dewey Dillard a call today at 901-218-1958. That's right, 901-218-1958. Dewey with Groome and Company, you cannot go wrong. I'm telling you now, you want to call him today. If you got something to buy, something to sell, call Dewey, because he'll get it done right. All right, welcome back to the podcast. Boy, Dewey Dillard, how about Dewey Dillard? That's a great advertisement, and I hope y'all use him. And he is a monthly advertiser, so y'all keep it up on Dewey Dillard. So hey, the second part of our podcast today is about seed starting. We are right at the couple weeks here, and we are going to be getting all of our seeds. We're here actually in the Farmer Dale studio, aka the grow room also. So right around behind you, or right here in front of me too, I've got racks and I've got grow lights. I got heat mats. I got all kind of stuff. But we're going to talk about what you really need to get going. Whether you are just starting a couple seeds or whether you're starting a lot of seeds and you're doing a big production. We don't have a greenhouse. I've got what I call a grow room, where we can regulate what the temperature is, the humidity. Yeah, that's really done by the temperature, but we can do a lot of things in our grow room. We can grow just about anything. It's a matter of how long we can actually grow it before we actually have to get it outside, because we just have a limited space. Where if we had a greenhouse, yeah, we can grow, leave it out there and be awesome. But so we're a little bit different with the grow room. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But over here to my left, I've got a lot of equipment that we use, and I've used a lot of different stuff. If you're listening just on audio, you're not going to be able to see all this stuff, but I'll try to describe it as best I can. So you YouTubers out there, you're going to get to see all the stuff. And I'm not going to talk about brands. I'm not going to talk about brands at all, really, because there's so many different companies out there now, and there's so many online products and Amazon products and that kind of stuff that you can purchase. And most of it's good stuff. Some of it's just a bunch of junk. Depends on what you want to purchase. And there's some stuff that you can purchase that are high dollar stuff, and there's some cheap stuff that just keep you going. You can go to Lowe's and get everything that you need. You can get a heat mat, you can get all that kind of stuff. So we'll talk about that in just a second. So let's talk about a couple of things you're really going to need. Okay. Number one, you are going to need a water source. And up here in our grow room, we don't have a great flooring because I actually have carpet. Probably not the most ideal, but we don't really make that much of a mess, and I vacuum and do all that to keep it really clean. But when it comes to water, that's a problem. We have these rubber mats that I've set out in several different areas that we really water, so I don't get any water on the floor. But I don't need to show you that kind of stuff. But hey, number one, you need a water source. So in my grow room, we use this pump sprayer. It pumps. You can hear that pump. And then it gives you a nice little spray, because you're going to need to, at the very beginning of your seed starting stage, you're going to need to put water on top to keep your seeds moist, not too moist. That's an art form too, of knowing how much water do I put on it, how much water do I not put on it. It's a long process to learn that, because I did it wrong at the very beginning. But I soaked them down and they were just too wet. And then I was like, I backed off, and then we're too dry. So learning that process is really important, of knowing how much moisture I put on them and how much I don't. I typically, once a day, when I first start the seeds, I'll go up and I'll mist them with a little bit of water just to kind of get the humidity going. And I'll show you how we get that going for our seeds, because that's a really easy process. But you got to know what you're doing. But you got to have a water source. So I bought this thing at a local department store, and it's worked great. I've had this thing for right at 5 years now, and it's still working great. Okay, so water is really important. I'm going to put that down. The second thing to get your seed started faster is you're going to need a heat mat. You can buy we have single trays, then you put one full tray on in here. So I've got some of these, then I've got a full mat where I can put 4 of them all on the same one. I like those. These single ones seem to put out better heat. You can also, and I don't have them, but you can also buy the ones that have a thermometer, a controlled, not a thermometer I guess, but a switch to where you can control how much heat actually gets to the heat mat. I don't really know if you really need that. We try to keep our grow room at 68 degrees. Some people like to keep it at 72. We go 68. We found that that's a really good temperature to help us control with mold and all that stuff, because it still keeps it warm. But a heat mat, if you want to get them growing faster, get a heat mat, because it's really important. You don't have to have a heat mat. You don't, but it's really good to have, because I can get them started faster and get them back on the grow lights really faster, and we can get those going. So heat mat's really, really important. Now let's talk about the different types of trays that we have used in the past. And I said that you can grow a lot at a time, or you can grow just a few at a time. Here's what I did. When I first started, I didn't know what I was doing, had no clue. I was watching videos and learning. I went to Tractor Supply, and they've got these in different places. You can buy them online, you can buy them Amazon, whatever. But these are made, I think these are made by Jiffy. No, these are made by Burpee. These are made by Burpee. So, and this one's kind of been, it's wearing out. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 tray. I think it's a 1x1 block. and you can get 16 seeds started in here. So 16 plants. Let's say you're doing 16 tomatoes. Perfect, right? The only bad part is I've had these for 5 years though. This is one of the first ones I bought. The bottom is really flexible. Works out. It's really cool. But this one tore. I don't know where they got ripped, or I don't know how that happened. But these are reusable year after year after year. And if you want to save money and just reuse them every year, this is a pretty good product. The other good thing is that it's got a water case at the end. So because we water, once we got our seeds started, you want to water it from the bottom. So we put the water down there, we stick the tray in, and then the plants soak up the water from the bottom to the top, because that's what you want to do, because that's how they're going to grow out in the garden. They're going to suck up the moisture from the ground and not be watered from the top most of the time. So even though it rains, and we'll talk about watering systems at some point too, but that's a really good way. That's a 16. I think this is a 36, I do believe. Still made by Burpee, same process, but you can start them smaller. So depending on how big you want to start them, and it also comes with another tray there. Before I get to that, so this right here, we had dahlias in this last year. Yep, dahlias. So make sure that you label your tray. If you're going to do a different row, and I say do the same seed in each row, and then label that row. So you can buy these seed tags and put them in the end of the row or whatever. Mark on what it is, and also when did you plant that seed, because all seeds have germination rates. They have a certain amount of days they normally germinate, either 7 to 10 days, 3 days, 4 days. We get a really quick germination rate because of the process that we use, and that is with proper water, humidity, and the heat mats. And if you do those three things, you're probably, and some things don't need, like lettuce and those kind of things, they don't need a heat map. But peppers and tomatoes, those types of things really need a heat map, because you got to get them going. But this is a good way to start a lot of seeds, especially if you're going to pot them up. Like tomatoes, this would be perfect for tomatoes, because if you're going to pot them up, which I suggest to do, grow them in a bigger space, I would say do that. So we've done those. Now, you can buy these cheap 72 cell trays. This is a really good way to start a lot of seeds. And we've started a lot of tomatoes in here. We've started flowers. We've started dahlias. We've started, what else have we started? We've started zinnias in these before, which we learned. We just plant those zinnias straight out and direct seed those. We don't need to start them in trays. But this is a great way. Now, these two pieces come apart, so you get two pieces. And then it also comes with a watering tray also with that. So these are really good. Now, I've found that I'm able to reuse these for a couple of years. The problem is it all depends on this bottom piece. Let me show you this one. You probably can't see that real well on the video, but they'll break, they'll crack, that kind of thing. But still can be usable. Got to clean them though. These right here really haven't been cleaned very well. But that's a 72, and I think that's made by Jiffy. It's made by Jiffy. Let me go and cover that. Well, we'll come back to that. Now, this is a 128 cell tray. If you want to start a lot of seeds and start them small, this 128 cell is really, really awesome. They make 268, they make 300 and something. I don't know. They make a lot of small little trays with really, and it doesn't take a lot of soil. And that's what's really good about it, because we're going to talk about soil in just a second. But this is a 28. It's flexible. It goes straight into a regular tray. Now you can find them in different heights. Okay, this one, I don't know if you can see that. This one's not very tall. This other one that I've got is pretty tall. The one I just showed you is pretty tall. We've got these, and this is from, I forgot what the company is, but this is a hard plastic. Great trays. I forgot anyway, I have to put that down in the thing. So these set right in here, and then you can, because we bottom water everything, and man, that works out great, because we found that these were short, but these trays right here worked out great. Don't know what the name of them are though. Can't remember. So we're going to do something a little different this year. We're probably not starting as many flowers and that kind of stuff, because we're not growing dahlia seeds and that kind of stuff, or Snapdragons, we're not going to do snapdragons. We grew a lot of snapdragons last year. So I'm not doing that. So because we're really getting back into the vegetable world. But this tray right here that I've got, it is a 1.5 by 2.5. I think that's what they are, and they come apart too. They're pretty flexible, kind of reusable. Okay, well, we've got some that we're going to reuse again this year, and then we got the water tray with that too. So what we do is, I'm going to start with this tray. We will take our soil, our seed starting mix, and we're going to talk about that because that's really important. But we will fill all that up. We will take another one of these, and we'll clamp down and mash that down, and then we will put more, a little bit more soil, seed soil starting mix on top of that, and then we'll just rake all that out. I've got a big white tray that I use. I stick this in there. I stick this in here, and I've got a big tub that I got at one of the Home Depot stores, and put all my soil in there, and then I just start making trays as fast as I can. How many do I need, right? But this right here, hopefully, is going to decrease my time spent to have to pot up the tomatoes and the peppers. I'm thinking I'm going to be able to, I did it last year, I'm going to be able to grow them in here, and I'm going to be able to take these straight to the garden and plant them from these trays. In the past, I've taken red solo cups, and I'm taking 2x2s and 4x4 pots, and I have potted them up to give them more space because the roots need more space. But I think these right here are going to be big enough, and they did a really good job last year, so I think they're going to do a good job this year. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm planning, I don't know, I've got 42 trays of these ready to go, ready to plant. But after I put my soil in, here's the most important part. With peppers and tomatoes, especially peppers and tomatoes, you need a way to create humidity. So once we put the soil in, we plant the seeds, we water it in. We've done all kinds of things with the soil too. We have pre-moistened it, or we've put it in dry and then sprayed it down and got it moist, then planted our seeds. We've done almost every different way of doing it, but here's exactly what we do. I take the dry seed start mix, I put it in the tray, I spray it down, and then I take our seeds and I put my seeds in each of the trays, okay? And then I cover it up, if they need to, I'll cover it up with a little bit of soil, and then I come back with what's called vermiculite, and I'm going to show you that at the end right here. It's going to be the last thing I show you. And then I water it all in, and then I put our humidity domes on top of all the trays. This humidity dome is so important because you want to create humidity. You want to create an outside environment that they're going to be growing in, right? So that creates that humidity and gives you everything. It puts it in a nice environment for you to grow awesome seeds. We normally get germination in with our peppers and our tomatoes in about 3 or 4 days. Pretty quick. Most of the packages are going to tell you that you get it in 7 to 10 days. Some peppers take even longer than that for some people. That's if you're not doing anything special. So heat mat, water, tray, humidity domes will get it there. Okay. Now, those are some of the trays that we use, and there's bunches of companies out there that you can get whatever you want to get from. Okay. Now, we've used a lot of different soil mix. This right here is the best that we've ever used. It is called Black. It's made by a company called SunGrow. It's called Black Gold, natural and organic seeding mix. To start your seeds, you need a seeding mix. Now, we did it wrong to begin with because I didn't do enough research when I first started doing our own seeds. I just went and got some potting soil and said, we're going to grow those seeds. Horrible germination rate, horrible. That when we started using this, and we buy this in a box of 4 at a time, and I think this is a 16 quart bag. We can do a lot of seeds with this one bag. But we started using this, and man, our germination rate changed. The consistency of the plant inside of the cell and the root base and the root ball getting around the bottom of the case of the cell blocks was amazing. So using this Black Gold is really, really important. It's not cheap. We buy it off of Amazon. You can buy it in a bunch of different places, but we buy it from this company and we get it shipped to us free of charge because we're, Amazon Prime people. So we get that free of charge. If you want the best seeding mix, this is it. Okay. There's some stuff called Pro Mix. There's some stuff called, there's a Jiffy seeding start mix you can buy at Lowe's or Home Depot. We've tried that. The problem is that it's really chunky. This stuff right here is very fine. I should open it up for you, but this is very fine. It absorbs water really well, but that's the problem with the Jiffy, is that I don't think it absorbs very well because it's so chunky and it's a lot of chunked up bark, it seems like. So anyway, this is what we use, and I will continue to use this forever starting our seed mix. Now, if I had a huge greenhouse, it may be a little different and made to buy this stuff in bulk, because a lot of the big commercial growers, they use the Pro Mix, which is great for them probably because they've got a seeder and they got a machine that's feeding their trays. But this stuff right here, if you're a home gardener or a small market marker grower, this is what you really want to be using. So there's that. So that's that. Now, here is a way to keep your moisture on your seeds. Stuff's called perlite. You can also use vermiculite, but we buy perlite. It's really simple. This is what it looks like. It's a white substance. It's very chalky. You don't need to be running a fan if you're using it. This stuff's pretty cheap, and you're not going to use a lot of it because you barely spread it across the top of your tray. And it works really, really good. It absorbs really well. Now, you're going to think, well, I've got it on here and my perlite has turned brown. That's okay. That's not a fungus or anything like that. It's going to happen. Let it be. Water it really good from the bottom, and you're not going to have a problem. It's going to keep that moisture down around the plant and keep all the moisture in your actual seed block or cell block. So perlite, it's really stuff. So that's kind of how we start our seeds. We start our peppers and tomatoes right around Valentine's Day, or maybe the week after Valentine's here, depending on what zone you're in, because we're in zone 8A now because they changed all the zones. But we're in zone 8A, so we can start those around Valentine's Day. Get a good 6 weeks or 7, maybe 8 weeks of growth before we actually put them in the ground. You know, some people say we only go 4 weeks. I don't think that's enough. I think you got to go a little bit longer than that. Feeding them healthy. Now, do we fertilize our seedlings? Yes. We've used all different types of things. We've even used Miracle-Gro and just put a little bit of growth on each one. Normally we mix it in with water, and then we pour it in the bottom of the trays once a week, something like that, just to give them a little life, a little food. You got to feed them or they won't grow, even if they're just small little seedlings. So you don't want to do it too early. You don't want to do it too late. You want to start that process after they get their first true leaves. And we can do another video on that. You can follow us on TikTok and that kind of stuff, and then we'll do those small little videos on that, and even on YouTube, on my other YouTube channel. But hey, that's kind of how we grow things, and I'm looking forward to growth season. We're about to heat it up. We're preparing just about once a week to twice a week here, trying to make sure the grow room is ready to go. Make sure we got all of our supplies, and that's really important. You want to have everything in stock ready to go so you don't run out. So you can kind of keep it going if you're doing a lot of seeds, because we'll plant a lot of tomatoes and we'll plant a lot of peppers. And then we'll be starting our lettuce and spinach and broccoli pretty soon too, and a few flowers, marigolds and that kind of stuff, because we plant a lot of marigolds. Talked about that. So, hey, it's been a great podcast. I hope y'all enjoyed the first part, and I hope you really enjoyed the second part. And don't forget, check out, if you're buying or selling a house, don't forget to check out our sponsor today, Groome and Company Realtors, Dewey, Dillard. Farmer Dale will be right back. Well, all right. Well, thanks for listening to episode number, I think this is episode number 6. Sorry it was just me. Hopefully next week the snow will be gone. I don't know how many days we're going to be out of school this week, but we're going to be out Monday for sure, possibly Tuesday. We got to get all those basketball games in too. How are we going to get all that done? We'll get it done because basketball season is right here at the end for middle school basketball for us. So we're excited with all of our growth stuff. We're excited to read the Bible. Hope y'all enjoyed that part. But hey, last thing is this. The Farmerdale merch store is open. It's ready. I'm ordering my stuff today. That's right. I'm going to order me some hats. I'm going to order me some sweatshirts. Hopefully, I'm going to be wearing that stuff every day. Every time we have a podcast, have some of that stuff on. But hey, you can go to the link down below, order your merch today, be shipped right to you, and then you'll be looking like Farmerdale. Maybe you don't want to look like Farmerdale, but maybe you'll be cooler than Farmerdale and you'll look really good in the hat and sweatshirts. I really would love one of those sweatshirts today. It's like 20 degrees outside. I don't know where you're living, but in West Tennessee and Tennessee and Arkansas and Mississippi, we got snowed in. We got probably, 6 inches of snow, ice, freezing rain. We got all kind of stuff going on. So we got snowed in, but it gave me a chance to do this podcast today on some stuff that I wouldn't normally have done on that length. But next time, hopefully we'll have a great special guest next week. I think I got somebody in mind that I'm going to call today. That's right. So anyway, thanks for listening to the Farmerdale podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and ring that bell so when the next episode comes out, you don't miss it. That's right. Till next time, Farmerdale.